Welcome to the 3 Barriers to Law Firm Growth webcast. This free webcast is presented by Ken Hardison, founder and president of PILMMA, the powerful, innovative legal marketing and management association. Before founding PILMMA, Ken built and then sold 2 7-figure law firms, so he understands the barriers law firm owners face in growing their practice. More importantly, he can help you overcome them. Thanks for joining us. Now, here's Ken Hardison.
Well, thank you, Eric, and hello, everyone. Ken Hardison here, and I'm glad that you got to join us today. We're going to talk about the 3 barriers to law firm growth, and with everything that's been going on in the last since March of 2020, we can surely say that things are not normal, and a lot of growth has been stunted. And there's been a lot of pivoting that's had to be done. And, I've been preaching criminal lawyers. I know they've had it the worst. And you got to pivot and think about things to do to get new business that can be handled outside of the courtroom, like getting records expunged and different things like that. Domestic lawyers, not quite as bad, but things are down. Injury, disability lawyers, workers' comp lawyers, they had a good quality of cases already in house, so they've been okay with cash flow, but cases are down all over the country as far as intakes, because there's just not as many people working, many people driving, So things are, just not normal. But when they do get back to normal, and before they were abnormal, there's always been these 3 barriers to growth. And we're going to go through them today, and we're going to talk to you about things that you must do to overcome these 3 barriers if you want to scale the law firm and grow it. So most law firm owners want to grow their practices, and if you didn't, I don't think you would be here. But in fact, I always ask this question: how many of you want to at least double your revenue? And just haven't seen anybody say no to that question. But here's the deal: the bigger you get, the more complex it gets. And what I mean by that is, the more employees you get, things get more complex. And it takes more to scale the law firm. There's just more complexities all the way around, with people, with systems, things falling through the cracks, just a pure volume. And complexity generates these 3 fundamental barriers to scaling up your law firm. So let's talk about them. So barrier number 1 is ineffective leadership. And that's the inability to grow enough leaders throughout the law firm to have the capabilities to delegate and produce. So you need a leader for at least about every 7 to 9 employees. And when you're small, usually the law firm owner is the big leader. But as you grow and you get to 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 employees, you have got to develop and coach and get good leaders that can help lead your law firm to fulfill your vision and your goals and your dreams of where you want to be in 5 years or 10 years from now. And then the barrier number 2 is no scalable infrastructure. And that's the lack of systems and structures, both physical and organizational, to handle complexities and communication and decisions that come with growth. Because the more you grow, the more communication problems you have, left hand knowing what the right hand's doing, and there's much more decisions have to be made every day, every week, every month. And I can tell you this from my experience. When in 1997, I went with a boost of revenue and basically investment. I went from taking in 20 cases a month to 120 cases a month. And I had no systems, processes, procedures, and I almost went bankrupt because I could not handle the business. And that was when I had one of my aha moments, and I read a book called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. And if you have not read that book, I would tell you to read that, and also E-Myth Revisited. And basically, he's saying is you've got to have systems and you know, and set up an infrastructure so that you can do a lot of things that, and I'm going to get into more detail later, but you've got to have that. And then barrier number 3 is ineffective marketing. That's what everybody thinks the big barrier is. And we're going to talk about some of the things that I see lawyers across the country that are doing that are not effective marketing. And you want something that's predictable, that can give you a good return on your investment, something that you've got a predictable funnel or pipeline of cases coming in on a regular basis. It's not feast and famine. And this can be done, I promise you. As Eric said, you know, I went from taking in 20 cases to 120, and by the time I sold my firm in 2010, I was taking in over 200 cases a month. You know, and it was easier than when I was taking in the 20 or 30 back in 97, 98. So here's the deal. When you remove these barriers, you're going to see rapid growth is possible. And actually, it's not that difficult. I'll be honest with you. When I was scaling my law firm from 98, I went from 2 lawyers and 3 staff in 97 to 13 lawyers, 47 staff in 2002. So that's about 5 years. Went from doing $500,000 in revenues to like $6 or $7 million in revenues. It really was not that hard once I got those 3 barriers overcome, but I had to rely on other people that were smarter than I was, and had some really good leaders, lawyers and staff and management people that really helped me get there. Yeah, I definitely didn't do it by myself. And it's one of the things we're going to talk about today. So I want to dive into each barrier and what you must do to overcome them. So let's get right to it. Barrier number 1, lack of leadership. So here's the deal. Great leaders don't have to be years ahead of the competition. Really, all you got to do is be minutes ahead. And the key is to keep frequent interaction with your clients, your employees, and your competitors. And we'll get more into detail of that, because I use thinking interaction with my competitors. And delegation is key. You've got to let go and empower your employees. And this is where I see lawyers who go out and start their own practice. They can't let go because they're saying, well, nobody's going to do it good as I will. And you're probably right. You're probably right. But the deal is, if they can do it 80 or 90% as good as you, then that's good enough. And as long as they're not committing malpractice and they're giving good client service and doing good quality work, it might not be superior A+ of what you could do, but it's good enough. And you're never going to scale a law firm if you cannot let go and delegate. So here's the other thing I see lawyers do, and all business people. You've got to leverage your strengths and delegate your weaknesses. Like me, for instance, I think that one of my strengths is I'm an idea guy and I'm a good marketer. I'm not that good of a manager. I think I'm a good leader, but I don't think I'm that good a manager, and I'm really terrible at details. And so I've got a process for doing this that I teach lawyers of how to figure out what your strengths are and leverage them, and then find other people to do the stuff that you're weak at and leverage your strengths, because that's how you can really scale a business. Because basically your strength is something that you love to do and you're really darn good at it. And that might be practicing law. And if that is, that's fine. And you got to find somebody to come in there and manage and lead, and you just, you know, go try your $1 million cases or your big custody cases or your big murder cases. That's fine. Whatever your strength is, whether it be trying cases, whether it be marketing, whether it be leadership, whether it be ideas, whatever it might be. But here's the other deal. Don't confuse delegation with abdication, because you got to give feedback and you got to trust, but you got to verify. So successful delegation requires four things. You got to pinpoint what the person or team needs to accomplish it. We call those priorities. And you got to create a measurement system for monitoring progress because you can't manage what you can't measure. And then you got to provide feedback, praise in front of peers and constructive criticism in private. And you got to give appropriately timed recognition and rewards. People really want to know when they're doing a good job. Now, here's the other deal. You got to keep the main thing the main things. You got to finish what you start. You got to mean what you say. You can't say one thing and then do another. And the key of a function of leadership is delivering frequent messages and metrics that reinforce your vision and goals for your law firm. It's like being a head coach of a football team. The great football coaches are the ones that are great leaders. And they are frequently given messages and metrics to reinforce where they want to see the team. And you got to do the same thing for your law firm and what the goal is. For the football teams, it's the national championship or the Super Bowl. And what have you got to do to get there? That means you've got to complete so many passes, or you got to run so many yards, or you got to hold a team to so many yards if you're playing defense. Same thing in practice and law. You're going to have different metrics to measure your productivity and what we call key performance indicators. So barrier number 2 is no scalable infrastructure, because as I said earlier, as your law firm grows, it becomes more complex. It's like a force of nature. The more people you get, it gets so complex, and you've got to have systems and processes and procedures. And a lot of you got case management systems with tasks, and that's part of it. But there's so much more. And having this creates uniformity and makes it easier to train and onboard new employees. As you scale, you got to hire new people and bring them on board. You can't just throw them in there and let them sink or swim. If you're trying to scale a law firm, you want everybody doing the task the same way. You want the letters to look the same. You want all block letters or not block letters. And you want forms and templates so that everything is uniform and everybody is on the same page. And by doing this, it creates the consistency and the quality of work product. You don't want, as you grow, you don't want to have 7, 8 lawyers and they're all doing their own little thing, because if you do, you're not going to have consistency in the quality of work product. And that is going to be hard to manage. And that's why you need a chain of command. And so one thing that when you're creating these processes and procedures, you want to create an organizational chart, but you don't want to do it for what you have now, and you don't want to do it for people. And I see lawyers mess this up all the time. You want to take positions. And so like if you, and a lot of you people might be doing, when you're small, they might be doing 2 or 3 things. I remember at one time, my firm administrator was also my bookkeeper and my HR person, okay? When she started out, she was my personal assistant. She was my paralegal. She was my bookkeeper. So what you want to do is set out an organizational chart of what your firm to look at like in positions, not people. But do not put any people's names down. Just put positions. And then as you do those positions, you want people to create processes and procedures of how things get done in your law firm. And that could be from opening the mail to how you greet a new client, to how you open a file, to how you close a file, to how you get ready for trial, to how you set up, to how you file a lawsuit, to how you do summons, how you do subpoenas, the whole ball of wax. You want everything to be consistent and uniform, and you want it to be so when you bring on new people as you're scaling your law firm, it's easy to onboard them. And here's another thing too, especially with your key people, you don't want to be held hostage. And you're paying them and training them, and they're getting a lot of intellectual capital that you paid for. And you want that memorialized somewhere. And no better way than to have it in processes, procedures, and manuals. So barrier number 3, this is what everybody always thinks the big barrier is to growing a law firm. And it is one of them, but it's just one, is ineffective marketing. And so I see this all the time, no differentiator, nothing to stand your firm out from your competitors. I mean, here's the deal. There's so many people, lawyers, advertising and out there, and they're like if they're doing online search, they might go through 4 or 5 websites. And so here's the deal: how are you different? Why should they, why should they hire you? And you got to answer these 2 questions. Number one, do they need a lawyer? And then if they do need a lawyer, why should they choose your law firm over all the other lawyers out there that are doing the same type of practice? What is it that makes you special? And it's not the same old, I care, 28 years experience, we're tough, we're aggressive, you know, uh, experience that counts, Everybody says that. Everybody's saying the same thing. And then the second thing is you got to know who your ideal client is, because if you don't know, then how are you going to be able to target your message to that person, and where are you going to find them at? So go back and look at your best paying clients and kind of you got to figure out the demographics. How old are they? What kind of income? What kind of neighborhood? Look at the zip codes where they're staying at. You can use a Google map to do that. What do they watch? You could do surveys and figure out who your best clients, your best paying, your best customers, so to speak, are, and what it is that they are watching and seeing and doing, so you can reach them. And then you got to target your marketing to your ideal client. If you just throw a big net out for everybody in the world, that's very ineffective, and that's a waste of money. And then this is the other deal I see is very ineffective messaging. It's like you see a website and it's got your name and your law firm real big up there in the left-hand corner, and it's got a big picture of you and your partners or whoever, yourself. And it says something like, we do divorces, or we're domestic and criminal lawyers. And that's it. There's no headlines, or either if you got a headline, it just don't really say anything. There's no call to action. What do they do once they get there? Because if they don't see something that differentiates you, or something that calls some big headline, or something that calls to action, they are going to go somewhere else. That's the bottom line. And so I see lawyers spend thousands and thousands of dollars of getting people to their website, and then they do nothing to make them stay there and convert them and make them raise their hand and take some kind of action, because they have bad headlines, they have no call to action, and they got no social proof. And some states I know don't allow it, testimonials or verdicts or whatever. But if your state does, if you're not having them up there, then you're missing the boat. I can promise you. And then here's where I see I go all over. The last 10 years, I've been all over the country doing consults with different law firms. And the biggest leakage I see is poor intake and no follow-up. And what I mean by that is you got a poor conversion rate. And this is the anomaly. Every lawyer I ever talked to before I go visit their office swears that they sign up every client that they want. And that might be true, but they don't talk to every lead that comes to the law firm. So if they get to them, then they probably do close them. But the problem is you don't get all the leads. You don't talk to every potential client. And you have to rely on other people, and they're doing a terrible job. And I can tell you how I know, because all across the country, before I would go visit a law firm, I would hire a company to do 5 ghost calls, and they would impersonate a potential client, and we would report it. And I can tell you, out of those 5 calls, nobody ever got 5 out of 5 of them right. And most of the time, the average was around 3. Every once in a while, I'd have somebody do 4 out of 5. And then another thing is, like if they do an online inquiry, there's no follow-up, no auto responders, nothing to nurture it. Everybody gives up way too quick, and they might not have made up their mind. Just because they said no then doesn't mean that they're going to say no later. And it is not like you got to chase them. You just got to do it with educational-based marketing and educate them and inform them and give them good valuable content that helps them. And then they'll come back, and the deal is none of your competitors are doing this. And if you do it, you're going to just skyrocket your conversions. And that's big, big money. And you can learn this secret. You can scale your law firm very, very fastly, because just think about it this way. if you could convert, just for the sake of simplicity, if you were getting 100 leads a month and you were converting 30 of them, if you could increase that an extra 10%, that would be 10 more cases. I don't know what your fees are. It could be 3,000, average fee could be 3,000, it could be 10,000, it could be 20,000. But let's just be conservative and say 5,000. If you could convert an extra 10 cases, extra 10%, that would be an extra $50,000 a month, extra $600,000 a year. For where I come from, that's a lot of money. And believe it or not, I see lawyers do this every day. But there are things you can do to increase this so much. It's unbelievable. And then this is where I see a lot of lawyers really miss the boat. They're so interested in how they can get new clients and what they can spend their money on to get new leads when they don't really market to their past clients. Those people already know you, like you, and trust you, and you just forget about them. And you think that they're just going to refer you cases. And the truth is, 20% probably will, but 20% never will, and 60% would if you would. They knew you wanted it, and you made it easy for them to refer to you. And it just baffles me that lawyers don't have any systems for getting referrals from past clients. At my law firm, we had 4 to 6 different ways that we really marketed to past clients to get referrals. And even though my law firm at its height, when I was doing multi-million-dollar law firm, I was spending $1.5 million on marketing. But here's the deal. And let me tell you, I started out spending $3,000 a month, and I got to where I was spending, $150,000 a month. But as you grow, you scale what you're spending, you scale what you're making. But 42% of our cases came from referrals from old clients. And you say, well, that's no big deal. I'll probably get more than that. Yeah, but we were signing up 200 cases. So 80 clients a month we were getting from old clients. What does that tell you? That tells you that we were doing a lot because we were spending a lot of money to get those other cases, those other 120 cases. So we were getting over 80-something cases a month because we had those 4 or 5 systems for getting referrals from past clients. And like I say, I just don't see that. There's no systems. It's ad hoc. And I could go on and on about marketing. I could talk about it for, probably at least 3 or 4 hours. We don't have time, but I wanted you to get the gist. These are some of the big deals I see that are barriers to people, lawyers doing effective marketing. Now, here's another thing. Most law firms think tactically versus strategically in marketing their law firm. And what I mean by that is, what's the next big deal? What's the latest and greatest thing? Is it going to be pay-per-click? Is it going to be it's going to be this video? Is it going to be, what is it going to be this month that some sales guy's calling you up saying, is it going to be buying leads? But you don't really sit down and you think about tactics. When really you need to start from the basic and think strategically about who's my ideal client, what's going to be my message, how am I going to differentiate myself, where do I need to go to reach these people, what do I need to do to make sure, that I get these types of cases. Go back and look who your best clients, where your biggest fees came from. You don't think about it that way. You just think, well, I'll just throw some more money at it and I'll get more cases. And this is a huge, huge mistake, I'm telling you. So in summary, growing a law firm is a dynamic process. And listen, if I could do it twice, I can tell you, because I had nobody to help me, I had to do it through trial and error. You definitely can do it. I mean, I didn't go to Harvard Law School. I was not the sharpest pencil, in the box. But I never gave up, and I kept trying and working with things, and I was very entrepreneurial in it, and I figured things out. So a recap, the leadership team navigates the evolutions and the revolutions of growth. And like growth stages of a child, they're predictable and unavoidable. It's just like growing a kid grows. If you grow your law firm, Like I said, I went from 2 lawyers and 3 staff up to 13 lawyers and 47 staff. And it was predictable because I had a predictable, steady stream of incoming leads. So to deal with these challenges, the law firm must grow the capabilities of the leadership team. Like I said, every 8 or 9 people, you got to have a leader. Don't mean you got to have a manager, but you got to have a leader, a team leader. And you've got to install a scalable infrastructure to manage the increasing complexities that come with growth, and that's our processes and procedures. And you must also stay on top of your marketing dynamics. And we just covered probably 7 or 8 things that are what I see are key. There's much, much more. When I was at my height, I was doing 32 different things to market my law firm. Some of them cost nothing. Some of them cost me $50,000 a month. But the deal was I put just as much effort on the things that cost me nothing as I did to the things that cost me 50,000. And I had systems in place, referral systems. I had systems on how to get cases signed up, intake. I had training. Everything, I was on top of it. And if you want to take it to the next level, you've got to do the same thing. And of course, I told you I wasted hundreds of thousands of dollars and made a lot of mistakes, but I figured it out. And you know, you have to evolve, and things change. I mean, marketing is on the internet is like trying to paint a daggone train that's moving. So it's constantly changing. You got to be on top of it. So the bottom line is there's 4 areas that you as a law firm leaders must address, and I call them the big 4 decisions. And Bern Harnish in his book Scaling Up, which is another book I would recommend you read, and Rockefeller Habits, talks about that the 4 really big decisions are people, strategy, execution, and cash. And in his book explores all 4. So people, like I said earlier, we were talking about, you know, having A players. No great law firm was ever built on the back of average employees or any kind of business. You look at Google, you look at Apple, you look at some of the most successful law firms in your market, and I guarantee you they've got some great people, leadership people, managers, marketers, lawyers. They've got top-notch people, and that was by no accident. They didn't grow to where they were and get to where they were at without having great people. And strategy, you got to think strategically and not tactically, like I said earlier. And the successful lawyers are the ones that really scale, are the ones that think strategically. And here's where everybody gets lost: execution. You've got to have clear goals, and you got to have a plan, and you got to take action, because nothing happens till you take action. So how do you do it? Because see, so many lawyers get pumped up. We're going to do this, we're going to do this, and then their, you know, life and their practice gets in the way, and nothing gets done, and nobody's held accountable, and there's no deadlines. And, you know, the best laid intentions are paid to hell, right? So having good intentions is not enough. You got to execute. And then this is something that a lot of people don't talk about, because all the big guys out there that are trying to tell you how to grow a law practice so you can do it with no money. It's sort of like trying to build a real estate empire with no cash. And is it possible? Yes, but there's a likelihood 99% of the time it's not going to happen. And the same thing is for your law firm, because revenue is for vanity, profit is for sanity, but cash is king or queen, because you cannot scale a law firm without cash. I can just tell you that. And I know some of you are thinking, well, Ken, then I might as well just stop, because there's no way I don't have the cash. I don't have the borrowing power to get cash. Well, let me tell you, there's ways to get cash without borrowing it. And it's what we call the 7 levers of cash flow. And it's little things you can do, like decreasing the 7 levers, 3 or 4 things by 1 or 2% can actually increase your cash flow by 20 or 30, 40%. So over the years, I've discovered what I think are the 11 keys to overcoming these 3 barriers of scaling up your law firm, growing it like I did. You know, when I did it, I didn't know what I was doing, but looking back on it, then refining it, and then the second law firm I built, I built it so much faster, like in like 2 years. But I already had learned all the secrets, and so I didn't make all the mistakes, and I didn't waste money. So, like I say, and also I've helped since 2010. I've helped hundreds and hundreds of lawyers scale and grow their own law firms, doubling, tripling, quadrupling their practices in less than 3 or 4 years. So right now, up these 11 keys or secrets have only been shared with my private coaching clients who pay me $1,200 an hour. And on October 15th, though, of this year, I'm going to pull back the curtain and reveal in detail, and not a bunch of fluff, in detail, the 11 keys to rapidly growing your law firm and how to overcome these 3 barriers. And some of these things I hadn't even, there's 2 or 3 of them that I hadn't really ever talked about in public. But we're going to do this virtual. It's going to be 3 days from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern time. And I'm personally going to give you, it says 14, but it's actually going to be 12 separate game-changing presentations. I've got 3 other speakers that are going to give 1 presentation apiece, so there'll be 5 presentations a day. We'll have breaks during the day, and we're going to pull down the curtains, and I'm going to share with you in detail. And anybody that knows me knows that when I'm not a big theory guy, I'm going to give you practical nuts and bolts of how to get from point A to point B. In fact, I'm going to lay out a blueprint for you. Because I'm like the old Wendy's commercial, where's the beef? I mean, I'm really not into fluff. I'm not all this Tony Robbins, it's all about your mindset. And some of it is, but the deal is there's just really actionable things you can do that can make a big difference. Like I always say, there's small hinges that can open very large doors if you know what you're doing. So for those that didn't know me, I talk about social proof. So Rob Kraft in Dallas, Texas, he's known me since 2005, and he's talking about our conferences. And he says, I've always had to review many pages of notes and select the tips I can implement immediately and easily, then choose 2 to 3 projects that require more time and effort, designed to help any lawyer in any state of practice you need to attend. Jason Melton from Florida says, you can't put enough value on unlocking information, things you've never thought of. We're creatures of habit. PILMMA allows us to break those habits in a judgment-free zone. There's Aaron from St. Petersburg, Florida. If you're looking for tools and resources to better run your firm as a successful business, this is the best group to be a part of. And in this deal, I'm actually going to give a lot of tools and templates away too. There's going to be stuff you can take back and implement when we do this virtual event. And here's Jason Lovely, and he is a really sharp dude. He says we were confused on how to quickly grow our practice, and he was part of the PILMMA team. And then we tripled our caseload the first year of being a mastermind, and steadily came up with new ideas that continue to grow. Ken's a good friend of mine. He got me my first million. Now I'm trying to get to multi-million. He will tell you if your idea is $1 million idea or is garbage. That's what I like. He said PILMMA is a price of return on investment. We will continue to be a mastermind. We are predicting serious growth. And he has, since he told me that, he's tripled his practice now. So like I said, this is going to be a virtual event because of coronavirus. It's going to be October 15th. And I picked 3 other speakers. One of them will talk about how to leverage videos and YouTube. Another one's going to talk about website homepage design to actually convert people that go to your website, because I told you 50% of the problem, 50% of the deal is just getting people there, but the other 50% is get them to take action. And then we're going to have somebody talk about how to strategically put together a marketing plan for your law firm. So if my hourly rate, for this $1,200, it'd be $16,000. $5,000 would be a bargain even. But here's the deal. Times are tough. I know it's tough. And part of what I like to do is give back. So during these uncertain times, I decided to offer this event at a bargain of $497. I don't have a lot of expenses to put this on. I don't have to rent. I don't have to buy a lot of food. So, we can make money at this, and I can help a lot of lawyers. And my goal is to get 700 lawyers by October 15th in this and change some lives. And if you're a PILMMA members, you get it at the discounted price of only $297. So those that don't know me, everything I do is with 100% ironclad guarantee. What I mean by that is, after the first day of this event, you're not completely satisfied, you get 10 times what you paid, I'll give you 100% refund, no questions asked. I've been doing this for 11 years, and I've never had an attendee for anything I put on ask for the money back. And you might be the first one, and if so, I will gladly refund it. But the deal is, I guess what I'm trying to say is, we really try. I go out of my way to give you at least 10 to 20 times the value of what you're paying me. But here's the deal, and this is the deal because the technology we're using, we only have 500 seats available for this virtual event. And once we sell those out, it's over with. I really know that this event will transform your practice and take it to the next level. We're going to give you things that took me years and hundreds of thousands of dollars to figure out. And I'm gonna unveil it and give you a blueprint of how to get there. So just as an example, here's going to be some things I'm going to share, is how to create your own blueprint for successful practice, how to stand out from your competition. We're actually going to go through with forms and everything, and there's a process we do this. I'm actually got a form and template on how to actually, a step-by-step process on how you systematize your law firm with processes and procedures. I'm going to talk about the 3 secret phases of marketing your law firm. And we'll have a speaker talk about leveraging videos to resonate with potential clients and get more cases. The secret art of getting things done. Well, I told you about that, execution. And I have really cracked the code on that. What I'm going to show you tripled what we were getting done in our law firms on a quarterly basis. I want to talk to you. We talked a little bit about it earlier about the 7 levers to increasing your cash flow. We'll go through each lever and show you what you can do and just change something by 1 or 2% that can increase your cash flow by 20 to 40%. And then we're going to talk about key performance indicators. What are the key numbers that you must know and that you got to keep on top of to really take your firm to the next level? And then we're going to talk about conversions, because I see this as a place where so much leakage. I'm going to give you 5 to 7 tips that's going to help you increase your conversions by 30% or more. And then how to hire and keep superstar staff. Remember, no great law firm was built on the back of average employees. And then here's the other deal we're going to talk about, and I'm going to share with you a tool that I have created called the decision filter on how to make smart decisions. Because here's where I see a lot of lawyers, they really get caught up in not making decisions, putting things off, and what I call analysis paralysis, because we're so analytical as lawyers. And this tool will really help you. We're going to talk about how you make smart decisions, and and leaders have to make smart decisions every day, and how to strategically grow your law firm, and how to create ads. Because, like I said, there's no headlines. I'm actually going to give you templates on how to create ads that will actually triple your response rate on any kind of marketing you do. And then we have a speaker going to talk about how to create a strategic marketing plan. And like I told you, we got Tanner Jones is going to talk to you about how to create a homepage for your website that will increase conversions by 68% or more. So here it's called the Law Firm Growth Maximizer virtual event. And if you're interested or have any interest to find out more, go to PILMMA.org/growth maximizer and claim your seat before we sell out. Because here's the deal. We will sell out. Even at our live events last year, we had over 400 lawyers. And what I'm hearing from all the people out there is that these virtual events, they're having like 50% more people. So if we had 400 at a live event, then we expect to have at least 600 at a virtual event. So we will sell out. So I hope this has been of help. I hope that you'll take me up on my offer and go. I mean, what have you got to lose? It's from 11 o'clock to 5 o'clock. First day, you say this is hogwash, Ken Hardison. You've sold me a bill of goods, and you get 100% refund. I got testimonial after testimonial after testimonial. When you go to this homepage, you'll see over 20, 30 testimonials from lawyers that I've helped double, triple, quadruple their practices. And you can call these lawyers up. You can talk to them. I got nothing to hide. I got nothing but wanting to help you go to the next level. I promise you.